Welcome to Tech Brothers with Ahmed. Today we are going to learn a scenario based demo in which we will learn different tasks in SSIS as well. So think about a situation in which we have to read the file names from a folder and then validate against our destination table before we start loading. So if we do not have that file name in our definition table, we do not want to load that file. So we want to move that file to some archive folder, maybe we call it BadFile Folder or some other name. So if the file name is correct, then we want to load that file, otherwise we want to move that file. So in this case we will be learning multiple tasks in SSIS. So I have solution or answer on the right side. So first thing what we will learn how to extract file names from a folder in SSIS package. Second, how to use for each loop in SSIS package. That's what we will be using to extract the names of the files from the folder. Next we will learn how to use execute SQL task to validate the file name against our definition table in SSIS package. The fourth number is we are going to learn how to load multiple flat files from a folder to SQL Server Table as well. And the last thing what we will learn how to move those bad files which we according to our definition table those name does not exist in definition table. We want to move those files to the bad folder and the archive folder, whatever you call, and we will be using the file system task. So we will learn how to use the file system task to move the file from one folder to another folder. So let's go to the demo and start working on SSIS package and table and other components. So first of all, I have the files ready for you. So I have three files here: customer file underscore AS, customer file underscore EU, customer file underscore NA, and then the rest of part is a date. Here I have a copy even, that's fine. So we are concerned only till here. So we are looking forward the files they should be customer file underscore the region, and then there should be underscore after that. So any file that comes beside this name and convention, we do not want to load that file. So let's work on these files first, and then we will put a wrong file and see how our package will handle that. Now here on the SQL side, what I have created a table, and the table has a couple of columns. One column is called file validation ID, and it is integer, so it is just sequence number I'm creating for the file names I have. And here the next part is I have a file name column. That's where I'm saving those file names. So any file name I want to load, I will be saving it here, and this will be the table against which our file name will validate the file name what we get from the folder. So I have inserted the values already. Let me show you how it looked like. So I have created a table and then inserted these three values. So you can see that. So I have customer file underscore EU, AS and NA, and I will extract when I want to load that. I want to extract this part and then validate against this table. So anything beside these three records, any other name we will get, those will be rejected, and we will move them to the bad folder or archive folder. So next part, let me show you. Let's start maybe SSIS package first, and then we will come back and I will show you how we are going to do that. So here the very first thing what we want to do, we want to create a variable in which we will have the folder path from where we are reading the files. So folder path variable. Why I'm creating the variable? So you can use this variable for the configuration and change the folder path if necessary, and you don't have to change the package. So that's good idea to save the information in the variable. The next part, we want to read those all files. So here I'm going to use a for each loop container, and inside the for each loop container I'm going to use this variable. Open the for each loop and go to collection, and here in the expressions, right now it is the pointing to C:\\, so that's the folder path provided by default, but we are interested to read the files from the variable path that we have provided here. So we want to use whatever the value we have provided for the folder path variable. So this is the folder we have saved here. Now let's go to the expressions, click here, go to directory, map the folder path variable that has our folder path, evaluate expressions, all good. Now we are reading all the files, but I am interested to read only .text files. So if there are other files, I don't care about that, and they should be just sitting there. I'm not gonna even touch those files. I'm interested only reading .txt files, and here I can read the name and extension fully qualified, that will have folder path plus the file name plus the extension, or I can simply read the file name. So I'm going to read file and name and extension in this case, and then I'm going to map to a variable, and I'm going to call this variable a file name variable. So this will be index 0. That's the only variable we have it. So this is first variable that's mapped, that's why it is index 0. If you have multiple values that you have to save, then you will have more variables here, and then index will increase from 0 to all the way 1 2 3 4 and whatever variables you have. Now we are all good. If we run this one, now for each loop is going to iterate through the folder and read file one by one. So it is going to read file name one by one. Next part is we want to validate that part. So I'm going to bring the execute SQL task here, and then use some query to validate it. So I have prepared the query. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. So first of all, I declare a variable called @file name, and it is varchar 100. Next part is I set the value to set the value of this variable, and I provided hardcode value here. I just want to show you how it works. Next, I'm saying if exist, and then I'm saying select one from this file validation table where file name is equal to substring, and then I'm providing the value of this variable, and then I'm saying 1,16. So I'm reading only the first 16 characters from left to right, because I don't care about the date part can change, and I'm okay with that because that's our requirement. We are only concerned with this first 16 characters. If they match with our definition table, we are good to go. If they are not, then we will move that file to the BadFile folder. Now here once it say okay, if exist, it check that, then I'm returning 1, and if else, if it is not corrected, it does not find that record in the table, what happened, I'm returning 0. So that's the query I can use it. So I'm going to copy this query. Right now this value I'm using hardcode value. So if you want to check this one, so it is returning us 1. Let's change, let's say if we put double underscore here, so now it should return us 0, because this first 16 correct does not match with our definition table what we have for the files. So file name, that does not match with any of them, that's why it's returning us 0. So depending upon the value 0 or 1, we are gonna run the data flow in the package. If it returns us 1, we will run it. If it will return us 0, we will move the file. So I can use this query. I'm going to copy this query, and here I'm going to use inside the execute SQL task. So if you see here, we are returning some value here. So that means we have to save that value in some variable. Inside the package, let's create a variable called, we can call it flag, FLG, or whatever you want to call it. You can file flag or status flag. In my case, I'm just calling it FLG. And here we come to the execute SQL task. Then we will go to the expressions. Inside the expressions, we want to go to properties, and then inside the property we want to go to SQL statement source, and here hit expression. Here we are going to put that query that is going to return us 0 or 1. So paste the query here, and now you know that we have to build our expression. We have to put double quotes here, and also we have to put double quotes at the end. This will be treated as a string. And now here we have to provide that file name that we are extracting inside or by using the for each loop. So I'm going to put that here. I am going to leave the single quote here and then put the double quotes, add a plus sign, and then I'm going to use that variable. So I will use the file name variable. Again, I will add the button, use the plus sign, then I will use double quotes, and I have to have single quote as I'm putting the value of @file name variable inside this query. Now we are all good. If we hit expression, we see that this value is blank as of now, but that value will be placed by using the file name variable when we will run for the for each loop. So when we are going to run the for each loop, it is going to bring the one file name at a time, and it will return us 0 or 1 depending upon the validation what we are doing here. Now hit OK. Hit OK. Here in the journal, as we are returning some records, we have to go to result set, and we will say single row, and then we will be using result set, and we will add one variable here. So we are going to get only one value. We will put results at 0, that's the very first index, and then we will be using flag. Here we are saving the value that will be 1 or 0 depending on the validation what we are doing in execute SQL task. So hit OK. Let's see what happened. No connection manager is specified. Good. So what we have to do here, we have to specify the connection where our table is. So my table is in the test database. If you want to create a new one, hit new. Here you have to provide the SQL Server name. It's going to take us time, but it is good idea to just provide the name by yourself. And then our table is in the test database. So I click test. Fine. Now let's hit OK. Now see if that works. So that's working fine. Next part is now when we run this execute SQL task inside the for each loop, it is going to return us 0 or 1 depending on the file name validation it is doing against the file validation table and the file name that comes from the folder. Now we want to have a data flow task here, and on one side we want to have an file system task. So here we want to write the expressions on the precedence constraint, and here I'm going to disable for now, because if I will just have enable, it will keep throwing me error, so it will not let us run the package. So here what I want to do, I want to write the expressions on a precedence constraint, and here what I want the first task to be complete successfully, and also the value of the variable FLG should be equal to 1. If that will be right, that means that the file validation is completed successfully. We can test it. Okay, expressions are written correctly. Now here we will be doing where constraint, the first expression and constraint, we want the value success, we want the first execute SQL task to be successful, and we want the value to be 0. It means the file name does not match with the definition or the file name what we have in the file validation table. It means that should come to the file system task. Let's run these one and see if this worked till here. Now we can see that this works, all the file names are matching, so we can see the green arrow tick mark on the data flow. Let's load those files in the table. So here inside the data flow task, I'm going to use the flat file source, and then we are going to make a connection. Let's browse, go to the input folder. We have input folder here, and make a connection to any file, because all of those files have the same structure, so you can use any, and we will change that in the expressions of that flat file connection manager. So when for each loop is going to iterate, then we will be using different file name on each of the iteration. So we are going to change that later. Here my first row has the column, so I have this selected, and rest of that is taken care automatically in my case, as it is a comma delimited file. So row delimiter, you provide whatever is your according to your requirement. You have column delimiter, in my case it's a comma. In your case, if it is different, just go ahead and change it. Maybe you have a pipe or tab, so whatever you have, so change it. Next, let's change the data type. Customer ID is integer, so it should be DTI4, and customer name should be varchar 100, so I'm going to change that one. Now we are good. Retain null values from source as null values in the data flow. If you are getting some blank values and you want to convert them to the null, so you will check this mark, and next hit columns, hit OK. All good. Next we need to bring the destination, and here I'm going to use the OLEDB destination, and we will be loading the data to SQL Server Table. So our table is in a test database, so that's fine. And next we will be loading the data to the customer table. Go to mapping, and here the column name mapped automatically because they're exactly the same column what we have input side and the destination side. If you will have different, you have to map them manually, and you can click here and select your column on the input side and what you want to map to the destination. Hit OK. Now next part, here what we see, this is the connection manager for the flat file. If we run our SSIS package now, it is going to load the same file 3 times, but we don't want that. We want to change that on each of the iteration. So when the new file name will be extracted by for each loop container, we want to change that. So let's go to expressions of flat file connection manager. Click here. Now we will be using a connection string, and here we will be building our expressions. We will be using the folder path, and then we have to add the file name. Here I'm going to use backslash. If I will use the one backslash, it's not going to work, so I have to add 2 backslash to print 1. So that's why I put the 2 backslashes here, and then you use the file name. So file name has the extension as well. So if you see here, if I will try to put 1, you will see the error. So to have 1, we have to put 2 backslashes here. So that's how expression work. Hit OK. Now if we load the file, actually if we run the package, what happen, all those different files will be loaded as the name does match with our definition what we have in the file validation table. So I don't want to run the package now. Before I run the package, I want to do one thing. I want to go and fix the file system task, and let's go back here and enable this one. Now see, it is shown as the red cross here, and let's open this one and see how we can use this file system task to move the file from input folder to the bad file folder. And here what I need to see operation, and in the operation I'm not copying the files, I'm moving the files. So I can use move file, and then it is asking me, okay, so is the source path variable? And in my case I can say yes, it is. and source variable, it is asking me source variable. So I have to provide a variable that has the folder path and file name attached to it. But right now what I have separate folder path and file name, so I don't have the complete path for that file, so I have to build that, and then I can provide that variable here. Also it is asking, is destination path a variable, and I can say yes it is. Then it's saying destination variable, what is the destination variable, so I can provide that destination variable as well. Now we have to build those both of them and then come back here. Now I'm going to go back, go to variables, and I'm going to say file full path. So here my file full path is going to be string, and I'm going to write expressions on this one, and here I can use the file folder path and plus the file name, that will be complete path, so I can use and file name, hit OK. Now we will be build the BadFile folder path, and that will be also string, and that I can provide also in the expressions. And how I'm going to do it, I can hard code this value, and or I can create one extra variable here and then use the same way I build the file full path by using folder path and file name. So let me go back here and get the BadFile path. In this case I'm going to show you how to hard code, so you will have the both scenarios. So here I'm going to use this one, and then backslash, and then add the file name to it. Hold on one second, let's see what happened. Even when we have backslash, one backslash, and you're hard coding the value, it's not taking it, so we have to provide 2 backslashes, so that's how it's going to work. Hit OK. Now it is going to build the complete path for with the folder path and file name for the file where we want to move that. So hit OK. Now we are all good, and here let's go to the file system task and say move the file. Here we are saying variable, yes, so it is coming from the variable, and then we will say file full path, and here we will be saying yes, destination is a variable, and we will be using the variable, and here we'll say BadFile folder path, and if the file exists we want to override it, we say yes and hit OK. Now we are all good, and we can test our package. There are so many things, small things, and I don't know, it take a whole lot of time sometime to build the packages. Well, you will not be building this package in 30 minutes. There would be some requirement. You will have a day or two to build this package. Let's run the package and see if the data is loaded. First truncate the table, DBO customer. We can also see what I'm doing here. We can also move the corrected file to some other archive folder as well, so we don't reload the files again and again. But you can do that by yourself as well, or maybe I will do it just in another minute. Here we have 3 files sitting in the folder now, input folder, and in the input folder all of them are correct with the correct name and convention. So if we run this package now, they should load without any problem. Let's see. Yes, so all of the files are loaded by data flow task here. So none of the file came to the file system task. It means all of them have the correct name and convention. So let's go check the data. Okay, data is loaded for all those files. How I know that? I know because I have created those files with these 3 records from one file. These are coming from the second file, and there are some records coming from the third file. So let's go back here and now change the name let's say instead of NA we are gonna do AA. Now we know that one of the file does not match with our validation definition table that we have inserted. So two should be loaded and one should be moved to the bad file folder. So let's go back here and run the package. I want to truncate the table again just to show you. Now stop the package, run this package again. So there is some error. It came here, two files are loaded successfully, seems like, or maybe not. Let's say that this was the first file. Yes, AA was the first file, it failed. So let's take a look and see what error happened. So we go to output, and here we are going to take a look. Could not find the part of the path. So that's the error. So why it could not find the path, I have no idea. So let's see what exactly it was trying to build and what error we are getting here. Let's take our expressions. So there are multiple ways we can check, and here let me see, go to variables, and we have a bad file. First of all, check our file full path, so that should be correct. So we have a folder path and then we have a file name. Next part, we are building the bad file folder path. So here if we check, we are doing the right thing, but why it is saying cannot find the path? Let's see, let's try one more time. And one more thing what we can do here for the debugging, it is coming here. We know that we can print or message out the value of that variable. I know video is getting longer, I don't care about that. I just want to show you each and every step what I would do to debug this package and how I will solve the issues. So there are multiple ways that we can get the information. Let me go one more time saying we are moving the file, and yes, is destination true. This is a file full path, so they both are correct here. Hold on, let me delete this part, and we are going to put the script task here, and we will print the value of that variable and see what exactly happened. So I'm going to go back here. Now here we are going to print the value, and in the read variables we will select the both bad file folder path, and we will select the file full path. Bad file folder, just remember it because it's naming is case sensitive for these variables, so we can copy these variables if you want. So copy this one and file full path, go here. I'm using C#, and I'm gonna just print a message and see what exactly is not building while we are concatenating those couple of variables. So we will use message box dot show, and then we can use dts dot variables, and here you have parentheses and say user, and then you close it with dot value dot to string parentheses quotes. Okay, so we are good here. We are going to print that value, hit OK. I just print the one value here, so it is going to come here when we have to put that expressions here. So we are saying @FLG is equal to 0. When it is 0, come here and print it, and then we'll see what happened. Now run the package, and here we can see that we have C user bad files customer file AA. So this looks correct, but there could be something we are missing here. Could not find the file path. Let me see if still we are getting the same issue. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here. What I am doing wrong, maybe it does not need the complete path. Maybe it just need the folder path. So let me go back here, and instead of having the complete expressions, I don't remember, it's a long time doing this one, so I'm gonna go back here and change that one to, I'm gonna remove this, so just provide a folder, so let it, and then let it you know, move the file. So let me go back here, see if that works. So right now I'm using just the folder, so it worked. Wow. So for the source, you will be providing full path, but for your destination you will be providing only the folder path, so you will not be providing the with the file name. So that's how it's going to work. And then what we will do is stop it, and we see that the two files are loaded, and here one file is moved, and they are still here, and the one file is moved here. So that's how it's going to work. So that's great. And next, if you are interested to move these files after loading, you can stick around and let me show you how to move those files as well, and we can move those files real quick. I'm gonna bring the another file system task here, and we can use one more variable. We can call this variable archive path, archive folder, and here I'm going to save the value for archive folder. So let me go back here, and here we will copy the folder path. We already learned it. We don't need to provide the file name next to it, so we don't have to build the expression for archive. So here we have already file full path, so we will be moving the file, move file, true, and then we will be using file full path, and next we will be using true. Here we will provide the destination folder, and it's called archive folder, and if the file is there, we just want to overwrite it. Let's go back here. Now we have there are some other files sitting there, but they are not customer files, so that's fine. I'm going to go back to the bad file and cut it from here and bring to the input folder. So I'm going to paste it here. Here we can change the name now. Let's say I want to have NA. That's correct, but somebody put extra space here. So see if this works. So what it should do, it should move this file to bad file. These files should be loaded correctly and should be moved to the archive folder. So let's go and run our SSIS package now. And one more thing I would like to do, I would like to truncate this table. It has only 5 records. Run the package. Now this part could be removed. This script task you can just delete from here and write the expression directly to it. I left it here, so we will remove it. I will show you right now. So here the 2 files are loaded correctly. They are moved. There is no file in the input folder anymore. They are moved to the archive folder, as you can see, and then there are 1 file that is moved to the BadFile folder. So let's go back here, stop your package, and you can delete, just copy your expressions for the presence constraint, and then delete the script task and connect to the file system, and here you can just paste it. So our package is completed now, and I apologize for making this video lengthy. I don't know how it is 20 minutes or maybe 30 minutes, I don't care. At this point it is already around midnight. My goal was to go through this video and teach you the detail and how to create the package from a very basic and add components, and when the requirement change, how you will tackle those and see different errors and learn from there. So thanks very much for watching this video, and I will see you in next video.